story by u/VRL95. This happened a couple of months ago. There was an old lady that sat close to the entrance of a huge mall near my home, selling different types of candy. She seemed very poor and fragile, at least 80 years old, and in multiple times I would pass by her, my heart would always break a little. I would want to buy some candy from her to help out, but now we live in the world of credit cards, and I would never have change with me. One time, I even expressed this feeling of regret to my girlfriend when we went to watch a movie in that mall. She said she felt the same and that she would picture her grandmother in a situation like that and feel sad too. Then, a couple of months ago, I was going to the mall to buy some cooking utensils with my mother, which was visiting me at that time. I saw the old lady again selling her candy and then passed by. But when we were almost at the store, I remember that at this time I had a bunch of coins and a couple of dollars in my wallet, so I went back. I showed her all the money that I had on me and asked how much candy it could buy. I got a Mentos and 4 pieces of bubble gum, and I showed her the candy and asked if that amount was okay. Her eyes were barely open, her voice was low and raspy, but she smiled a little and said something like, "Yes, son, don't worry, God bless." I went back to join my mom, feeling a little better. Now, ever since I'm little, I love candy. My grandma would buy boxes of stuff, and she would have to hide it so that I wouldn't eat it all in a day. Especially gum. I go through them really fast. So in about 10 minutes, I was done with all the 4 pieces of bubble gum and reached to my pocket to start eating the Mentos. But when I took my hand out of my pocket, there were 4 additional pieces of bubble gum on my hand on top of the box of Mentos. We were walking through the store and I stopped in my tracks. I explained what had happened to my mom, but she just laughed and dismissed me. I distinctly remember counting all the candy to make sure that I wouldn't take more than my money's worth, and even showing it to the old lady. It's very minor, especially compared to the other stories in this sub, but it made me feel nice. I think about it a lot still, and it makes me feel a little curious and good. And I never saw the old lady sitting there again.
Written by author U/Hey Moonbaby. So this happened in July 2021, and it has really bothered me, but I haven't told anyone till this post. I work for DoorDash and was working later than usual, and it was getting dark. Pretty much fully dark, so I would guess around 8 p.m. I had finished a delivery and was about to pull onto a 6-lane main street, with center turning lane, out of a neighborhood residential road. The road I am trying to turn right onto is pretty dead. I look left and see a few cars with headlights on, almost a block away at a stoplight. I pull out, and as I do so, check one more time at the distance of the cars. I don't remember seeing the cars at the light, but now there's a black sedan bearing down on me, and I mean right there, about to hit me. I can still recall exactly what it looked like. Shape of headlights, the lights were on, and everything. I freeze up and prepare for impact while trying to accelerate out of its way, even though I know it's too late. Nothing happens. I look in all mirrors, turn and look behind me, and only see the other cars I had seen before, now approaching, but still at a distance. I end for the night and head home, completely shaken. There's no way I could have dodged that car, and it turned the corner onto the road I was on without hitting me. This is the only way I can explain it vanishing, but it makes no sense. At the speed it was going, at least 40 miles per hour, the speed limit on that road, it would have had to slam its brakes, but I also heard nothing. I had this eerie feeling as I drove home that I was dead. I couldn't shake it for weeks. Now, at this point, I am sure I am not a ghost. But, still, I can't let go of the feeling that something is off. Maybe I glitched into a reality where I died or was badly injured. T-boned on the driver's side at 40+ miles per hour would not be good, at least I imagine. Then glitched either back or maybe I ended up in a different reality from the one I started in. I feel crazy just saying that, but I know even now that something is not the same since. Some things in my life are different since then too. I don't want to make this too long, but there's a short description of the few things that stand out to me. My significant other's stepmother hates me. She was really friendly before, but just kinda got snobby. Rich bitch. But since then, she's always hostile when we visit, making rude, snide remarks, and/or giving me the cold shoulder the whole time. My best friend is really distant. She suddenly stopped reaching out to me, and when I reach out to her, she only replies with a few words and then stops. We used to chat for hours, almost every day before that. I tried getting to the bottom of it, and she keeps referring to it as a falling out and drifting apart, like it's something that happened over a long period. I don't want to weird her out with too many questions, but I just don't recall that. To me, it seemed like she suddenly went longer than usual without talking to me. I'm slowly rebuilding our relationship, but I'm still not sure what from. I'm less anxious about sex. I experienced abuse as a child and adolescent that left me afraid of sex. Suddenly, I'm just able to do it, enjoy it far easier with my significant other than before. We rarely had sex, barely once a month, before this, and now I can do it much more regularly without the difficult mental struggle that came before. I can still recall the trauma, but it suddenly doesn't bother me now. My significant other even complained before about how little we had sex, but has never mentioned being glad we do it more frequently now or anything. Just seems like that's how it is. Facebook memories I don't remember. So sometimes I scroll Facebook memories and I can remember most of them, or I can shrug and say, that seems like something I would share back then. LOL. But sometimes one will pop up, and I can't recall posting it at all. These are usually things I write out myself, what I was doing that day, or my feelings on something, which is not something I do much. But every week or so, I see one ranging from a year ago to 10 or more years ago that make me think, why did I post that? I don't remember saying or feeling that way at all. That's not like me, etc. There are smaller changes that are less important, but these are the ones I take note of every day. Thanks for reading this long post. I hope to hear everyone's ideas about what may be going on or what kind of glitch may have experienced. I've struggled with it.
Story by u/soma masuku. I believe this must have taken place before 2010 to say the least, and while my family, older sister, my mom, and I were planning for Easter, something strange occurred. We were talking, and I believe we were decorating or mentioning going somewhere, but after that, it's all a blur. It's like immediately after it struck 4 or 5 p.m., the entire household just paused. And then time sped up. I asked my mom once I've woken up what happened and did we do anything. But we fell asleep for I believe 2 whole days. But here's the thing. None of us were tired or stressed because of leaving the house. My only logical explanation is we fell asleep during Easter, but neither my mom or sister could explain, and they acted like it was a normal day. But it didn't exist for us, and we didn't have that day, Easter Day. And the day immediately after, I don't recall anything. It was like all of our decorations and eggs vanished. almost like the two went somewhere without me knowing, but that it couldn't have been true because they were both in their rooms, asleep. At least, that's the best that I can recall. And it still freaks me out because once again, it really felt like we were all gone and all preparations we did disappeared as clear evidence. All I can clarify is that we lived in an apartment upstairs, and this was somewhere in Texas. But again, it's been more than a decade, and I'm still stuck on this. I even distinctly remember the apartment gate that would open and shut, and how it had rained a lot that week. Also, while typing this, it feels like more and more of the memories fading away. But I know for a fact that we never stepped foot outside of that apartment. And I know we didn't eat anything during our sleep. And of course, they wouldn't have just left me home alone without telling.
Trigger warning. Mention of animals hit by a car, but they disappeared. Written by author U/sakschan 21. So here it is. I need to know if anyone else has experienced this. October 4th, 2020. I was making the second to last trip to move all my belongings to my new place. It was dark, about 7 p.m., and I was coming around a bend. An opossum met her fate at the hands of my Subaru Crosstrek. I did my best to avoid it, but to no avail. I felt the bump and slowly pulled off to the side of the road to cry it out. Being new to the area, I wasn't aware there was another road I could take, so about an hour later, I found the courage to make that last trip and grab the rest of my stuff. I passed the fateful spot going on the opposite direction and couldn't control my curious gaze, but the possum was nowhere to be seen. I thought, okay, I must have missed it since I'm on the other side of the road. Well, on my way back, I slowed down and scoured the road and the area surrounding. I didn't see anything, so I threw my hazards on, pulled over, and got out with a flashlight to see if maybe she had crawled into the ditch. There was no one, and nothing. No blood, no remains of any kind. The thought of a bird or other wild animal coming to scoop her up didn't seem to make sense, as certainly there would be at least a blood stain. Plus, it was now 8:30 p.m., and this was a moderately trafficked residential area anyway. I called it a night and checked even again the next morning with the help of the sun. But still, not a trace. Fast forward a year and 5 months later to March 4th, 2022. I'm driving home from work around 7 p.m., and a raccoon runs out in front of me. Unable to avoid it, I feel the impact. I cry. I get home and take a bit to gather myself. Feeling all too familiar, I drove back to see if she was still there. Again, there's not a trace to be found. Worth noting that these occurrences did not happen on the same street, but they did happen within a quarter mile of each other. Dumbfounded, I drove back home, chalking it up to a glitch. But this is unlike any glitch I've experienced before. What are your thoughts?
Story by U/TheMomo562. So this just happened recently, and it's fresh in my mind, so I thought that I'd leave it here and let Reddit judge if this is a glitch or not. Anyways, I take Unisum to sleep at night. I was taking my nightly fix as usual and dropped one of the pills. This has obviously happened to me before, as I'm sure I'm not the only one to drop a pill on occasion by accident. Me and my fiancé just moved into our new room. It's the same house, just a different room. So there isn't anything on the floor besides our bed and a TV stand. We have wood floors, and when I drop anything, I always hear it hit the floor, even small pills. It's how I've been finding things that I've dropped in my house for years. The thing is, The pill never made a noise. No slight tap on the ground, no rolling of the pill either. I looked all over for the damn thing, and I have a dog who sleeps with me and my fiancé from time to time, so I looked around pretty extensively because I was worried that Goliath, my dog, would find it and eat it and get way too much sleep. But for the life of me, I can't find the pill. There's no place it could have went to besides the ground in our room. But just in case, I checked my clothes that I was wearing when it happened, then the sheets on the bed, and I even looked around outside of our room in the hallway. My fiancé and I have been keeping an eye out for it for about a week and a half, but still, no pill. I know that it's not crazy of a glitch, but it's fascinated me since it's happened. Plus, the coincidence of it being a blue Unisom pill that's the exact same color blue as the pill in the Matrix is hilariously ironic. I've lived in this house since I was 1 year old, and I have had so many unexplainable things happen to me and my family. So, I'm not sure if it's a glitch or ghost or fairies, but it's definitely not normal shit happening. My house was built in the 60s, so it's a little old and that might have something to do with it. So what do you all think happened? I'd love to hear some opinions and talk about the subject. And I'll update this whenever I find the elusive blue pill.
Missing Food by author U/AidMCY. So I was in my house alone with my sister, and we decided to order in some takeaway food. She decided not to have anything, but I was still hungry, so I ordered myself extra food for the next day. The food arrives like normal, and I go up to my bedroom and eat it. I don't use a plate, but use the bag it came in. After a while, I've eaten enough food that I can't anymore, and place the bags of extra food on my desk, right beside my bed. I go up to the bathroom and talk to my sister about something, and when I return to my room, the bag of food is gone. I laugh to myself, thinking my sister must have came in and took some food, or have put it away somewhere in the kitchen. But no, she hasn't moved since I had the food, and has no idea where it is. I asked her a few more times, and she continues to tell me that she doesn't know where the food is. After this, I go into my bedroom and look everywhere. Under the desk, under the bed, in every drawer that I know it couldn't be in. But it's nowhere. So now, it's been a few months, and I never found a bag of missing takeaway food in my room. My bedroom is very small. It doesn't even have a wardrobe. So now I live in fear that a bag of food is rotting right now, in my room somewhere that I just cannot see. All the windows and the doors in my room were closed, and I definitely did not move the bag from the desk before leaving the room, so it just vanished, or glitched, out of existence.
Story by U/Tears of the Sun. So basically, I often see or hear people and things that aren't there. Nothing like big, maybe a reflection of a car passing that actually didn't, or sound of someone walking behind me, but there's no one. I'm pretty used to it by now. But this one time, I was coming back home from school. If it matters to anyone, I was in second year in high school. On the way home, on the way I usually take, everything was normal. Super sunny day, birds were chirping, you could hear nature around. And then, I got to the end of an alley where I had to cross a road. There isn't an actual crossroad on the road, so I have to be careful when crossing. The place where I need to cross is somewhere by the end of the huge hill, so I always look up in case some car just rushes through without looking at the road. When I started walking, since there were no cars, everything was super silent. No birds, no nature sounds, no nothing. And when I was about halfway across, there was a loud car sound on the top of the hill, rushing super fast down at me. I started running across, and when I did, he passed right behind me, and I turned to look at the maniac that almost hit me. The road at the end of the hill is pretty long, so you would normally think he'll just go rushing down the road. But when I turned in that same second, he wasn't there. No sounds of the loud car going in the distance. Nothing. But at the same time, everything was back to normal. Birds and other nature sounds. It was like when I was on that road, I wasn't actually where I was supposed to be. This one is pretty stuck with me because it was kinda almost like a close death experience, and I could never understand it. Why me in that time, and what does it mean? What did I actually witness? For those who want to know, the car was rusty, kind of an old car. It was brown, and it looked kind of like a 1980s Volkswagen, but not exactly. It was more elongated at the front. Did anyone have any similar experience like this? Story by u/Little Russo. This happened for the second time today, and it really freaked me out. The first time it happened, I wanted to share a post here, but I just didn't feel like it was enough on its own. I honestly don't know if this could be classed as a glitch, but the feeling that I get from this when it happens is that the concept of time isn't real or linear, and we have the ability to basically experience things from the future without even noticing until after it's happened. It sounds crazy, right? But I'll explain. So here it is. This has happened to me twice now. I am an artist, and both times this has happened has been when I have an idea in my head, and I will scour through the reference images until I find the one. Not that I have an exact known building in my mind, just something that looks how I imagine the scene in my mind. I will choose a building that I don't know anything about, just that I like the look of. The first time was a few months ago. I was drawing an Amsterdam street scene. I had to look through various blogs, Instagram accounts, and Google searches until I found a building that I felt was just right to draw. I started drawing it and then went to make a coffee and have a quick break from drawing. I sat down with my coffee and was mindlessly flicking through Instagram stories when someone I know who lives in Amsterdam shared a photo. And what was in the background? The exact same damn house that I just drawn. Now, I know what you're thinking. You probably think I just thought they were the same building because the canal houses often have similar features. I took 2 screenshots and compared everything, from the window frames, the shape of the roof, the things outside the building, the tree, the stones on the pavement, and the buildings next door. It was 100% the same building. I also know Amsterdam quite well myself, and I can't say with 100% certainty that it's the exact same building. I messaged the guy I know and said, "Is that a famous building or something?" He said it wasn't, and he hadn't even specifically photographed that building. It was a regular Amsterdam building, a nice building but nothing extraordinary compared to every other building there. Nothing that makes it stand out more than the others. I explained to him what had happened and showed him my screenshots and my drawing, and he was equally as freaked out too. Please bear in mind that this all happened within the space of an hour or less. Today, the same thing happened again with another building. 2 days ago, I was scouring the internet looking for references for a London warehouse, Victorian period. I already had the idea of how it would look in my mind, and I just needed to find a photograph to draw from that match. So, I looked through hundreds of warehouses and picked one. It had a nice curved shape to the roof, and some white writing on the wall that said, Spratt's Patent Limited. So, I drew it. Weird fact, this warehouse was also next to a canal, so both my drawings I'm referring to are canal scenes. Today, I was eating my dinner and the TV was on. A still image flashed on the screen, and guess what it was? It was the exact same building that I had just drawn 2 days ago. Same angle and everything. I was once again freaked out. The program was not even anything about the building. It was just a still image that quickly flashed up to show where they were filming. Some statistics for you. In Amsterdam, there are believed to be around 7,000 historical canal houses. What made me choose this one? I can't find any estimation online of how many Victorian warehouses there are in London, but I grew up there, and I can tell you that London is full of historical buildings and warehouses and wharves. Lots of folks will just tell me it's a coincidence, but personally in my soul, I feel there is more to it than that. As an artist, I don't just draw anything for the sake of it. I draw things that come from my soul, and where do my ideas come from? In these instances, I can honestly tell you that I feel like my ideas must have come from the near future. Time cannot be as linear as we believe it is. I hope this makes an interesting read, and I would love to hear your thoughts or similar stories. Story by u/Q224. Okay, I still don't understand what happened. I don't drink or do drugs or take any medications, and I don't have any hallucinations. But a few weeks ago, I was in the kitchen. Suddenly, I hear some guy say in a very loud voice, "Hey, hi, hello." I look around, but there isn't anyone. I can't find the source of the voice. I thought it was my uncle, but the voice doesn't stop there. He then says to just turn off the light. I just stand there confused about who he is. Then he tells me again to turn the light off. I don't do anything and the voice stops, and I just go back to my room. Now, our neighbor's house is very close to us, so we hear their voices all the time. But it sounded like there was someone in the kitchen. Our kitchen only has one window on the outside that is near the ceiling, but if someone were to peek into that, they would have to climb on the roof of our house because our kitchen is on the second floor. But wouldn't it be strange to climb on the roof of someone's house and tell them to turn off the light? It could be my neighbor, but I recognized their voices. My mom was in the other room and sleeping, and she didn't hear anything. Another thing is, it was more than 10 p.m. at night. Most likely explanation is that the voice was coming from my neighbor's home. But I am still confused about what happened, and I haven't experienced anything like this before. Story by u/Scott and Shadyside. Add this year to the impressive and growing list of glitches since moving into this place a little over a year ago. Cat sitting for a couple of weeks. To simplify the visual, my place is laid out in a circle. I kept 2 doors shut that lead to the stairs so that my place looks like a Pac-Man. Imagine my surprise when I got up, was standing at one of the doors, and heard a meow from the other side. I opened the door and sure enough, there's a cat there. I go around the corner and yep, the other door is open. To give some context on that door, about a week previous, I tried to open that door and thought that it was deadlocked from the other side because it was so hard. This time of year, the doors are warped because of weather, so it sticks. It wasn't until I went to the other side and solved that it was in fact not deadlocked that I realized just how stuck the door gets. I immediately shut the door and deadbolted it, and I texted Cat Mom about the incident and jokingly asked if they had a habit of opening doors. I told her that I was deadbolting the door, and if it opens again, we have bigger problems, which was definitely a foreshadowing. I went from the door to my couch and laid down to nap, and about half an hour later, I woke up to 2 cats bolting out of the room. Both leaped up on top of the couch above me, crouched down, and stared at the entrance to the room. I was like, what the hell is going on? So I go in the room to see what they knocked over or broke, but instead found that once dead-bolted door wide open. 3 to 4 times that night, the cats came zooming out of the room as if something chased them. I say that because they weren't chasing each other. Rather, they ran together and either hid or perched near me, staring into the room, and they wouldn't go back inside again. Hello everyone, it's your creepy sister here. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate each and every one of you. But I would also like to thank my amazing patrons, my top tippers, and my dearest channel members. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it with all of my heart. If you want to support the channel further, you could also choose to become a patron, a tipper, or a channel member. But remember, it's appreciated, but never a requirement. I would also like to announce that we have merch now. The link is in the description of the video, along with all my other social media links, like my Discord server, Twitter, Instagram, and others. You can connect with me and send your stories there. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and comments are highly appreciated. And remember, your fear feeds me.